All right, so yeah, I have a few thoughts on the question this week. As we know, the entire, pre 9/11, it was a mess. With us being in the Middle East beforehand, definitely caused some issues. So as we know, the direct warnings for 9/11 kind of became, um, they came about in the spring of 2001. And eventually the CIA caught wind of a group in America who was Al Qaeda. They caught wind of them planning a terrorist operation. But the time frame that they had, and the time frame they were planning on doing it, it seemed like it was really flexible. So they couldn't pinpoint when it was about to happen, but they could tell it was going to happen within a few months. One thing I noted, and I actually did some research on this, was that Homeland Security wasn't even around at this point. That branch of the government had never been established. So I feel that that summer had, that branch being created during the summer when we were receiving those threats, we definitely would have been able to, delegate some of the work to that branch and develop a counterterrorism division that much sooner. We could have definitely, picked up a few more things, and who knows, that could have helped, but it's not for sure. Um, like I said, though, it was really hard to piece everything together, and there wasn't a direct time frame. In my mind, one thing people probably thought about was why didn't we just, send troops over ahead of time? Well, we couldn't do that because we can't just place troops in the Middle East when they haven't necessarily done anything yet. They were already upset, and bin Laden was really upset that we were over there to begin with because, that was sacred land. He didn't want us there. We sided with Israel, and he was still upset over that whole situation. And our presence over there would have just caused a lot of issues. So there really wasn't too much the Bush administration could have done other than, maybe listen to the CIA a little bit more. But even still, we didn't really have that branch. It was just a bunch of rumors going around. There was no direct evidence. Another interesting thing was that a couple of the members of Al Qaeda were actually caught a few weeks before. One of them was caught out of flight school. They had suspicions about him. And then there was another one who was pulled over by a state trooper in Mississippi or Missouri, and he was let go. And later on, they found out he was one of the guys that had something to do with 9/11. So really interesting that no actions were taken. They obviously sent him over back overseas, but did that kill the entire project? No. Um, I read an article from the New York Times that mentioned the Bush administration actually thought this might have been some type of distraction. Just a lot of talk and chatter. Nothing was actually going to happen, but it was just a distraction for Saddam Hussein, and he might have been something up in the Middle East. But again, we'll never know. So I guess the only thing that I could think of that the Bush administration could have really done was create that branch of Homeland Security and develop the counterterrorism units that we have today that do such a great job of thwarting these attacks.